Hi, everyone. I'm Ben Gonzalez. This is TDI. Well, today we're talking about renter's insurance, what it covers, and also what happens if you don't have it. And joining us today is Christy Rodriguez. She's a real estate professional from the Houston area who also works closely with the Texas Apartment Association. Thanks for being here, Christy.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
Appreciate it. Well, let's start with just the basics for people that may not know. What is renter's insurance and what does it cover?
Great question. So renter's insurance is an affordable way for renters to protect their property from theft, from fire, and other unexpected hazards. And if you live in an apartment or a duplex or even rent a house, oftentimes the property owner has insurance, but that insurance only protects the owner's property, not the renter's property and their belongings inside their home, inside their apartment and their duplex and their house. So you certainly don't want to find that out after you've suffered a loss or a damage to your property.
And I guess that happens all too often. People, like you say, think, oh, they must have insurance, but you're buying it for all of the stuff that you brought into that rental home or apartment. So you're a real estate professional, manager. How many renters out there do you think actually have insurance policies?
I will tell you this, you know this in Texas, we've suffered a lot of major events in the last few years. The Texas Apartment Association lease gives property owners the option to actually require renter's insurance or liability insurance. But even if it's not required, renter's insurance and liability insurance are strongly recommended. And as far as a percentage goes, I can tell you that our industry is highly encouraging renters to obtain renter's insurance. It just makes sense and it's for their benefit. I would say a growing number of renters are getting it.
Well, that's good as long as it's on the right path, and we'd like to encourage that as much as we can. So for folks out there that are uncovered, what's the risk of going bare? I mean, what situations have you seen people find themselves in?
Well, I have been in property management for a long time and I have seen all kinds of situations, especially when you're dealing with multi-dwelling units where, there's multiple families or households living in one building. So it's certainly risky to not have any renter's insurance if you live in a rental house or an apartment. For example, let's say that like a pipe burst in the wall of your rental and it
Like we
floods
saw this
everything.
winter. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it floods everything. It destroys your furniture, your heirlooms, everything that you have of value. And far worse, let's say a fire or, like Storm Uri, something, catastrophic happens and it destroys everything you own. The property owner's insurance only covers damage to the physical structure of the building. So it doesn't necessarily cover the belongings in your space. And maybe you have to have temporary housing because an event like that occurred, you can't live in it. If you don't have renter's insurance, the owner's not obligated to pay for that temporary housing. So that is why it is just so crucial to have renter's insurance. You just never know when things will happen.
Right, because then you could be on your own trying to scramble and find a place to live. A lot of policies will include something they call ALE, which is additional living expenses, and that may cover your hotel and food for a few weeks while you're looking for something else, or if they're rebuilding at the place that you currently live in. Let's touch on cost because we know that's the number one reason people cite to say, I don't have it, or if it's not that they just didn't even know about renter's insurance. What would you tell somebody that says, look, I'm at the edge of my budget. I don't think I can afford it.
Yeah. And when our industry really started, encouraging renters to obtain renter's insurance, we got this a lot. And, when you really look at the dollars that it costs on average, I think the Insurance Information Institute estimates that the average cost of renter's insurance in the United States is $15 a month. Actually, $14.90, I rounded up. So $15 a month. So when you annualize that, that's $179 for a whole year of coverage. And I just want renters to really think about that expense as it relates to the value of their belongings and think about the expense of potentially having to relocate and replace everything. It's really affordable when you think of it and you put it into that perspective.
Yeah, one fast food meal out. Like you said, you're actually risking a lot more by going uncovered. One other kind of insurance that we wanted to touch on that not only for renters, but also homeowners may be missing is flood insurance. And why is flood insurance so important to also consider?
Well, I'm from Houston, and I will tell you, those that live in Houston know this. We had some pretty major flooding events in the last few years. I mean, take Hurricane Harvey and the Memorial Day floods that impacted so many households in Texas, not just Houston, in the whole state. And several apartment homes and rental houses were impacted by floodwaters, rising water. And because those renters didn't have flood insurance, many of their personal belongings and temporary housing were not covered. So here in Houston, as you know, we're very prone to flooding. I think it's a wise thing to do to consider purchasing flood insurance to cover your stuff, your belongings, should another rising water event occur.
And that's a separate policy, right? That's a separate
Right.
expense. So I guess people are going to run into the same situations of saying, can I afford it? It's whether or not you can afford to recover on your own if you don't have coverage. And for renters, you're talking about a property only policy for flooding. And again, I think it's affordable depending on, again, thinking about what you could lose.
That's right.
Um, any final thoughts about what you wish more renters and landlords would know about renters insurance?
I mean, aside from the fact that, renters insurance is really affordable, I think there is that stigma out there that people think it's just going to be so expensive. It's really not. And sometimes with your providers, you can bundle it with your auto or other insurance and get even
That's
a
a
better
great idea.
premium or discount. Yeah. So I would encourage people to check that out. But also, sometimes things occur that you may not even anticipate. Somebody gets injured while visiting you in your rental. You just never know. When you have guests and parties, things happen. And so sometimes, it's just peace of mind knowing that you have coverage to cover the liability if someone's injured while visiting you in your home. And what a lot of renters don't realize, and it's in the Texas Apartment Association lease, but it's in a lot of leases as well, is that the renters are responsible for their guests and their actions. And you never know when an accident may occur. So, again, peace of mind. It's so affordable. Just do it. It's a no-brainer.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks, Christy. Really appreciate that. So we want to talk about protecting your property, protecting your liability, and also what would happen if you have to quickly find another place to live. You might need that additional living expenses. So if you've got questions about renters insurance, we've got lots of resources on our website. It's tdi.texas.gov. If you have a question about a policy you're considering or a term you heard that you don't understand, we can help you with that. You can call our helpline and talk to a real person. That's 800-252-3439. So for Christy Rodriguez, I'm Ben Gonzalez. This is TDI.